if you feel like your business needs a bit of a zhuzh, or if you feel like your desk needs a little bit of a shake, or perhaps you just feel like your head needs a bit of a wobble, right? If you're working in recruitment, you will find that there is sometimes a bit of an ebb and a flow to things like results. Some people describe it as being a roller coaster. I'm very anti the description of recruitment being a roller coaster. I totally get the fact it is a roller coaster for many people, but I firmly believe that the roller coaster was built by them, and then they ride it and they keep on being sick and they keep on screaming, but ultimately they don't realise they're the architect of their own problems. And as boring as it may sound, I would prefer to be able to reduce those peaks and troughs and bring them a little bit closer together, so we still have a ride, but it just becomes more enjoyable and it becomes strangely predictable in terms of consistency, and we feel less of that roller coaster kind of emotional process, because what we have is a better methodology to help us to be able to do it. So if you do feel as though you would like to see more consistency or better results, or you're feeling the highs and lows, those extremes, you know, even if you feel like things are good, but from a cash flow perspective, there's spikes of money coming in, and then there's periods of time where there is no money coming in or less money coming in, and you have to be far more mindful of your cash flow management. Like, in part that is running a business, but if you could bring some closer proximity between the peaks of cash and the dips in cash, so you have a more consistent revenue stream, surely life would be better, right? And then you can start to increase the level at which that consistency occurs, so you're starting to see 50 grand month, 100 grand month, 500 grand month. You know, you start to grow your business with consistency. So that's really where I'm coming from with this, because if you are a good consultant, if you are a good business owner, if you're able to prove to yourself you have the demonstrable capability to do something once, you have the ability to do it again. Like, if you go to the gym and you bench press 100 kg and you do that one time, you have it within you to be able to do it again. And if you're able to do it again, then maybe at some point in the future you'd be able to do 101. And I think it's pretty similar in business. Yeah, when we start to embrace our strengths, when we start to look at where actually do our superpowers sit, what are the things that we are truly good at, and how do we deploy them with more consistency? So one of the things that you may well have been introduced to by, I don't know, your accountant, or maybe a Ned, or maybe somebody who you turn to as a mentor for some advice, would have been a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And SWOT analyses are pretty ubiquitous, right? And some business owners get consultants to do SWOT analyses of their desks. And I think that they have purpose and they have place. What I prefer is called a SOAR analysis. And it's not an analysis of scabs, like SOAR, S-O-A-R, not S-O-R-E. SOAR, S-O-A-R. And what a SOAR analysis looks at, it looks at your strengths, it looks at opportunities, it looks at aspirations, and it looks at results. So when we think about strengths, when we do a strengths analysis as part of a SOAR assessment, we're looking at what can we build upon. What are we actually doing which is proving to be fruitful? What is working? What are we good at? Where is our strength as a business? Where is our strength as an individual? When we look at opportunities, it's what should we be focusing our efforts on? Where do we actually see, if we point our strengths, we would start to see a better return for our investment of energy? And when we look at our aspirations, it's who do we wish to become? What do we want to be known as? What do we aspire to be? It's an aspiration. And then the results is thinking about, well, if we can see our strengths and we can see the opportunities and we know what we aspire to be, how do we track our journey? How do we make sure that we're on our way to being able to get there? Those are the results. And some of us may call them KPIs, but some of you as business owners may, I started my business because I didn't want to have KPIs. Maybe your biggest problem is You don't have any KPIs that are meaningful enough that you can embrace them as being the genuine methodology to help you to be able to track your success in becoming the business that you want to become. And your business may be an organization that you want to become that revolves around the moral compass with which you started it, the ethics with which you do it, the quality of people that you employ. There are still results that you can measure that is your track of, are we on course to become the organization we wish to be? And there are definitely things that you can track to make sure, are we actually deploying our strengths with enough consistency to ensure that it is becoming a greater and greater probability of success? And what are we tracking to make sure we're making the most out of the opportunities that are out there? So if I break down that SOAR analysis and we look at strengths first of all, and you start to think about the strengths that exist within your business, within you, within your team, the first thing I want you to think about is, what outcomes do you create that you are most proud of? And when you think about the outcomes that you're most proud of, and you're able to picture things that you, the team, the business have created on a consistent basis, if the outcomes that you are proud of revolve around, well, every time we get a job, we seem to fill it. We just need more jobs. Or in my team, every time we get a new job on and we send CVs, we get interviews for more than 90% of our CVs. Like, when you think about your strengths, when you think about the things that you're proud of, the things that you're proud of tend to be outcomes. Does that make sense? So when you think about the outcomes that you're most proud of, and then you pause for a moment and think, so therefore, what strengths produce these results? And you create a link between the outcomes that you're proud of and the strengths that generate them. It is the strengths that you need to replicate if you wish to replicate the outcomes. If you haven't put enough thought into thinking about those outcomes beyond, if only we could find more clients like that. If only we could find more clients like that who behave like this, we would be more consistent and a better business for it. Well, dude, you found one. You lifted the 100 kg. And if you lifted the 100 kg once, and you actually unpack, what did we do? What strengths did we utilize? What did we deploy that helped us to be able to get there? Do it again. So the beginning of the SOAR analysis, it's a really nice place to start, and particularly with a team, say, hey team, what are we most proud of? And talk about the outcomes that you're proud of, and then from that build the strengths list, and then think, how do we package this strength list to help us to be able to move forward and replicate it again? And then think about what makes us unique. This is like the eternal question in recruitment. And everyone asks the question, how do we differentiate ourselves? But what they really don't dig into is what truly makes us unique. And the uniqueness of what you do, the uniqueness of how you do it. When you identify, what are we best at in this world? If you think about everything that happens in recruitment, rather than recruitment being a single gladiator arena, think about each thing in recruitment as being an individual arena. There is this little arena which is how we onboard clients. There is this little arena which is how we interview candidates. There's this little arena which is how we manage interview processes. There's this little arena which is how we reference temps. There's this little arena, you get my point? There are all these little arenas. And clients may try and take you to an arena where they feel they're going to have competitive advantage because others win in that arena. So they might try and take you to the price arena. Let's go to the price arena. I really like the look of your website. I really like the look of your CVs. I just want to take you into this arena because there's a couple of agencies in this arena who are particularly good with this weaponry, which is called pricing. And I just want to highlight that they're willing to do this for less. So get in that arena and have a little fight. So they try and take you to the arenas where they may consider you to be vulnerable. Your job, your business, your purpose is to make sure that you are playing in the right arena and you are finding clients who embrace that arena as being the value proposition. If there are 1,000 clients out there today and 300 of them value the pricing arena, why don't we go and look for the other 700 who value different arenas? Yes, of course, there is an education process to help those who value the pricing arena. And I think many who pretend they like the pricing arena don't. Because if they did, they would have instructed the agencies who are in that little arena, and they wouldn't need to talk to you, because why would they? Because someone's already agreed to 12%. But we're sidetracking. So I hope you're with me in how I'm describing that. When you think about what makes you unique, when you think about what you are best at in this world, pick that arena and do your marketing, do your sales activity, do your outreach to find people who value that arena. Because there are people who have problems out there in this world that are bigger than the vacancies that they've got, and they need people who are good in certain arenas. I need people who are good at assessing candidates. I need people who are good at engaging with human beings in a world that has an attention deficit, so that we can actually capture the attention of these unique individuals who we would like to be able to employ. Those are their problems. Their problems aren't the empty chair. It's all of the causation that becomes their problem. And then think about, how do you start to utilize these strengths? If you've identified a strength and you're not packaging it in every video, in every email message, in every piece of cadence that you're doing to generate business, you're not capitalizing on the things that help you to stand out. So a good strength analysis, this may take 45 minutes as a little workshop to run. And then we move to opportunities, and this could be another little workshop. Let's think about the opportunities that are out there. What do we see are the opportunities that are provided by the things that are going on in the external world? What opportunities exist with rising interest rates for our business? What opportunities exist in a world where organizations may be a little bit more protective of their cash? What opportunities exist for us in a world where perhaps there are more job seekers today than there has been in the past, where there is a little bit more candidate mobility? What opportunities exist for us when we know which arenas we compete well in and which perhaps others would take the lead, such as price? And then we can think about, so as we do that and we identify the opportunities, in a SWOT we would think about threats. But often we'll think about a threat in a SWOT and we'll contain it as something toxic. We need to be mindful of this, people. There is this threat here. Indeed are no longer giving out free adverts, so this is a threat. When actually, anything which is a threat, we can reframe these challenges and these threats and start to see them as exciting opportunities. We could look at the downside of Indeed doing that thing. We could look at the downside of LinkedIn becoming more expensive. We could look at the downside of clients getting more applications to their job adverts. We could look at the downside to clients having less money to spend, or we can flip it. And we can start to flip it to find the exciting opportunity that sits inside the challenge. There's an entire book which is dedicated to this subject. It's here on my shelf. It's called The Obstacle is the Way. It's by a guy called Ryan Holiday. I would recommend everybody in recruitment reads The Obstacle is the Way, because all of those things you guys keep moaning about on LinkedIn to each other, about client behaviours and candidate behaviours and everything that goes with it, they're opportunities if you start to reframe them properly. And The Obstacle is the Way is a great way to start to help you to do that. So, when we've thought about these opportunities, when we've reframed the challenges that exist in the marketplace, when we're able to say these are the top 3 opportunities, these are the top 3 opportunities, and these are our strengths, and our strengths becomes our toolkit, and we start to point our toolkit at all of these opportunities, it gives us something that lifts us. A SWOT can sometimes feel like paralysis by analysis, and it doesn't necessarily open up some answers. And when we've identified these strengths, we've identified these opportunities, we've identified the challenges that we can start to flip into exciting opportunities. We prioritise them to the 3 most important ones for the next 90 days. We can then think about our aspirations. And our aspirations is like reflecting on our strengths, reflecting on our opportunities. Who are we? Who are we? Who should we be? And what would we like to become in the future? And as we start to think about who we are today, who do we actually consider ourselves to be based upon our brand, based upon our reputation, based upon our level of knownness? And some of you may realise you could be your marketplace's best kept secret. Like, you may be the world's greatest recruiter to 6 clients, and then to 94 others, a total unknown. That's who we are today. Who do we wish to be? We wish to be more known. We wish to become more associated with these types of outcomes for this type of business. We need to go on a journey to help us to increase the level of knownness that exists around the problems that we fix. And now we can start to aspire to become that. And as we define what that is, and we know where we're at, the difference between the two helps us to formulate a plan. How are we going to do this? How are we going to make sure that we deliver this? Which then helps us to think about R in SOAR, results. How do we track our progress to becoming more known? What are the things that we could have in a scorecard that would help us to be able to do that? And if we think about our aspirations and we start to think about who we wish to be, strengths, opportunities, to-do list, aspirations, to-be list. And when you execute a to-be list, this is how I wish to be seen. This is what I wish to become. And you follow your to-do list whilst being that thing, that's when the magic starts to happen. So when you have a to-do list and a to-be list, and then you think about the results that you want to be able to track, and you think about the meaningful measures that would start to indicate to you, do you know what, guys, we're on track for this. We can see here with this scorecard, we are doing the right things. We can see the increase in the number of recommendations that we're getting. We can see the improvement in our net promoter score. We can see the engagement that we're getting and the leads we are generating on the back of our social activity. We can see the number of client meetings that we're doing that is converting into presentations that ultimately is giving us more projects and more instructions to work on. So I wholeheartedly recommend, at any point in a calendar year, don't feel as though it has to be the start of a financial year or the beginning of a quarter. And don't even have to wait until it's time to give your head a wobble, or it's time to give your desk a shake, or your business a zhuzh. Often the best time to be thinking about things like this is when you are at the top of your game, not when you're at the bottom of your game. So set some time aside to think about a SOAR analysis, to go through those questions that revolve around strengths, to go through those questions that revolve around opportunities and aspirations and results. If you would like a PDF guide to this, I've put together a PDF which has the questions that I would recommend that you ask of yourself with your team to help you to be able to identify the strengths within your business, to help you to create those compelling messages, to generate that uniqueness in the market, so you no longer have to sell your business based upon being better or quicker or faster. You sell it based upon the arenas within which you know you compete best, following a 4D recruitment methodology. As always, this is for you to do something with, entirely at your discretion. There is no pressure, there is no prescription. It's a self-service opportunity. Keep coming back to the podcast if you want to be able to get more episodes. And as always, if you're interested in working with me, you know what to do. Just drop me a message on LinkedIn.